Father Arno, I presume? You didn't have too much difficulty finding my office?
No. The concierge told me what I needed to know. You have a wonderful place.
All the art objects surrounding me were bequeathed by my mentor and friend, the late Professor Herman von Bergen.
I know his reputation. He was a great traveler.
And a distinguished scholar. But tell me, did you have a pleasant journey?
Yes, thank you. I admired the Transylvanian landscape, then I fell asleep.
And you've come from Transylvania?
From Vladoviste, to be precise.
The homeland of Vlad the Impaler. You made the right choice of locales to investigate vampires. Herman went there too when he was young. He never told me. I've had various hypotheses, of course, but I must confess, the question intrigues me, and to think that the answer might lie behind you. The personal papers of Herman are in this strongbox. He died suddenly, and didn't have the time to give me the code for opening it.
Can I try to open it? I'm no expert in the matter, but with a little luck...
Gladly. I'd be very grateful if you managed to open Herman's strongbox.
This lock is incredibly noisy. Or has my ear become more sensitive? I found the combination. MDCCCXX. Looks like a number in Roman numerals.
Thank you for opening the strongbox, Father. Would you be so kind as to deposit the contents on my desk? This is a letter from Mr. Stoker addressed to Herman. Read it, please.
So then Stoker was inspired by a story told him by Professor von Bergen, the story of events that had taken place in Transylvania. Perhaps in Vladoviste?
It's probable.
Did you know that Professor van Bergen knew Bram Stoker?
Yes, but I ignored all the details that are recounted in this letter. I only knew that Stoker had cited Herman among the sources inspiring him, and Herman was not flattered.
Had the professor foreseen the novel's success?
In no way. One day he told me, speaking of Stoker, that irresponsible man didn't understand half of what I told him. He's peddling errors that could cost people their lives. Fortunately, his book will be quickly forgotten. The first trace we have stems from ancient Babylon. The creation poem contains sinister allusions to Lilith, the unappeasable, who sucks the blood of newborns. Several centuries later, the Odyssey evokes dead people who crowd together to drink at a blood-filled ditch. But it's in Europe, beginning in the 14th century, that veritable epidemics of vampirism are described. They would continue until the 18th century, a period which left us much written testimony.
What an energetic method.
It's very widespread. In Russia, they use an aspen stake. In other places, it's made of hawthorn, from which Christ's crown of thorns was woven. That's true, but it's very hard to find one's way in it. Herman had a very particular way of storing his books. Let's say he classified them more poetically than functionally. Every time I take a volume from the shelf, I write its call number on a bookmark I slip between the pages. That way I can put it back in place without losing too much time. the same reason, I use ghosts.
Ghosts?
Yes, there are ghosts in my library. That's what we call the pieces of white cardboard that signify the place of a missing work on the shelf. It has to. Reports describe hundreds of grave openings. The vampire's cadaver is identifiable because it's perfectly conserved. It often appears swollen by the blood it has absorbed. The blood stains its clothes, its nails, or its mouth. It's sometimes so abundant that it overflows the coffin. What do you mean by believe, Father?
I mean, do you think that vampires have a real, objective existence?
Real or objective? You must choose, Father. Because the only immediate reality is subjective. The rest are just hypotheses.
All right, your viewpoint is unassailable. So let me reformulate my question. According to you, has the existence of vampires been demonstrated?
Jean-Jacques Rousseau said, "If ever there was in the world a warranted and proven history, it is that of vampires. Nothing is lacking. Official reports, affidavits of well-known people, of surgeons, of priests, of magistrates. The evidence is most complete."
Yet all these stories and affidavits seem very confused to me. I sense nothing coherent behind it all. Didn't you say yourself that the traditions don't agree?
Don't take the legends literally. I think they are the deformed reflection of a truth that is even more horrible. This book, The Lords of Twilight, is the most rigorous volume ever written on vampires. Open it.
The Lords of Twilight is the work of an insane person. It's sheer madness.
Father, the war that has just ended shows that the whole world can go mad. In less than 30 years, evil will seize power and the earth will once more catch fire.
No, not so quickly, not so soon. After the carnage we went through, the world will take the time to let its wounds heal.
You'll see. The author of the book, the Thule Society that publishes it, all of them are criminals who won't hesitate trampling on corpses to gain power and eternal life. The war will come because of them and their like. That's very possible. Vlad was a cruel ruler, intelligent and determined. He could very well have made a deal with the devil and conquered immortality.
So he would have lived several centuries?
To be sure.
But where would he be hiding?
In Vladoviste? Why not? Or elsewhere. The fox might have changed his den. The only way to tell would be to follow the path until its end. It's a group founded by Heinrich von Kreutzberg on the ruins of the Golden Dawn, another secret society. Thule reached out to Professor von Bergen many times, but he couldn't bear them. He always kept his distance, and I followed his example.
Did they approach you?
Many times. Openly, then in any roundabout way. Oh, they're very clever, very influential. I would never compromise myself with them. Do you know the hidden apocalypse of Thomas the Greater?
Yes, there are those who say it is a prophetic work.
Here it is. Open the book, and you will read some astonishing things. This page reveals the origin of the Great War, the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand at Sarajevo. The event that would submerge the world in horror had been announced centuries before in this book.
Really? This page, you say?
Forget the direction you ordinarily read in. Try to compose words vertically or diagonally. See?
Casus belli. The cause of the war.
prophecy contains two other terms that cross the first one. Look for them, and you will find the date and place of the assassination. Everything's there. In 1914, in Sarajevo, the incident that caused the war occurred. It can't be a coincidence.
It's very odd, I grant you that.
That's the past. Now let's discover the future. You see, on this page, the Thule Society is clearly designated. Its name is associated with Kheops, which means massacre. To know more, look for connected terms. So now everything is clear. At the instigation of the Thule Society, evil will triumph in Germany in 1936, and there will be massacres.
So this prophecy is at the root of your mistrust of the Thule Society.
It's just one element among many others. Believe me, those people have no notion of compassion. I see it as a way to force destiny, to attain, thanks to the force, spheres forbidden to man.
How could that be possible?
Father, you are well placed to know that sacraments of good exist. You must accept that there are also sacraments of evil, handed down from time immemorial.
If they do exist, these sacraments can only be dangerous illusions.
They do exist. 7 of them. 7 stages of the same route. 7 trials to change a man into a bloodthirsty monster who pretends to deal with God as an equal. The keys to the path of the dragon are hidden in ancient documents. Take this occult work. It contains an illustration that I would ask you to examine carefully.
These variations between the two versions of the crucifixion are troubling. You say that Professor Van Bergen was able to interpret them?
Herman was convinced that the variations in the documents revealed the secrets of the path. Imagine yourself as a copyist, seeking to transmit a message to initiates. 2 methods are possible. Either you add an element to the original, or more subtly, you remove one.
The chalice?
Yes, it's absent from the copy, and I think it's a way to draw attention to it. The devil leaves his signature in its absence, Herman said.
Then the chalice is important.
An object is associated with each stage of the path. I'd venture a guess that the chalice is one of them. There are 6 others to discover.
What happens at the end of the route?
The initiate must accomplish one last rite. He won't be able to unless he's understood all he's achieved before. That is, if he knows the order of the trials as well as the objects and symbols related to each of them. If you want to transmit forbidden knowledge, it's an advantage to plagiarize sacred art. Your copy will be piously conserved by simple folk who don't even suspect what you've hidden there. And your message will go through the centuries, understood only by those to whom it is addressed, your spiritual brothers, the initiates.
Professor, I don't want to take up too much of your time. This visit was most interesting, even if, I must admit, your opinions hardly go in the sense my hierarchy expected.
It's regrettable that the Catholic Church is so rigid. But even if the existence of vampires may be doubted, the existence of the Thule Society is unquestionable. Beware of it, Father. I'll gather some documents that will show you all of the malevolence of this organization. Where can I send them to you?
At the Vladoviste Inn, if you'd be so kind. Thank you for receiving me so graciously, Professor.
I wish you a safe journey back to Transylvania, Father. God keep you.